The 31st of July, it is the end of the month and announcing the beginning of another month, that is the month of August, and it is of course the start of the weekend. All I can wish you, ladies and gentlemen, dear televiewers of Viewpoint on DBS television, is to be strong. With us here in the studio, we are having a lady with us. She is Ivoline Wisanya, and she is a worker at the Agricultural Workers Service and Loan Cooperative Credit Union Limited here in Douala. We have equally Mangavenashus with us to spend some quality time with you all. Good evening to you, Ivoline, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'm honored to be here.
We are honored to have you too. Mangavenashus, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Vanessa, and good evening to our viewers. This last day of the week and last day of the month.
Let us take the first part of the show. Stay tuned. In our first question, is there any lesson to be drawn from the incident where a Dio killed his girlfriend? I begin with you, Ivoline.
Yes.
There is. Mangavenashus.
Yes, Vanessa, there are.
There are. Can fraud and corruption affect the management of COVID-19 in Cameroon? Ivoline.
Yes.
Mangavenashus.
Yes, it does. It can.
It can. And our last question, is there anything the finance sector in Cameroon is doing to absorb the effect of the coronavirus pandemic? Mangavenashus.
Yes, Vanessa, I think.
And Ivoline?
Yes.
Yes, it can. Time now for the debate. Stay tuned. In our first question, as a reminder, is there any lesson to be drawn from the incident where a Dio killed his girlfriend? That we are talking in reference to what happened in Kribi.
Yes, of course.
In Kribi, where a Dio
in a subdivision,
where a Dio allegedly killed his girlfriend because he is not proven to be guilty yet, saying he was actually cleaning his gun, and unfortunately a bullet had to touch his girlfriend, which led to her death. And Ivoline, you think that there is a lesson we could draw from this? What could be that lesson, or what are those lessons?
Yes, Vanessa, I think there are lessons we should learn from this. Like a relationship, we don't just get into a relationship like that. We don't know if that happened accidentally. That's why you need to get into a relationship to know the person. You study the man in which you want to get into a relationship with, to know his weaknesses and his strengths. You need to know them. You don't just need to get into a relationship like that because like we get, it happened accidentally. We don't really know if it had happened accidentally. We don't really know that. So I for one, I usually advise girls. We know because of the crisis issue, girls are all over. They don't take their time in order to get into knowing somebody before getting into a relationship. I urge the young girls to get to know people before they get into a relationship. A relationship is not a child play. It's not a child's play. I will not say that it happened, the man knew, but from there, we can draw something. According
to some information, it is said that she was the fiancée to the Dio, and he had married another woman. So when the girl got to discover it, she threatened him to reveal his actions to his legal wife. And so, as people will say, or as sources say, he used that as a pretext to kill her. Because I am asking a question, that how will a Dio be cleaning his gun in front of somebody? For example, our security men here, whenever they want to do that, they'll tell that, please, I'm about to clean my gun, shift away from me, or get away far from me. So what, or how do you explain that?
Vanessa, you see, this thing of relationship, age does matter. To me, age does matter. Because if you look, the Dio is still a young man, a young guy is 30 years. There are certain things we do pertaining to our age. I don't know if you're getting me. There are certain things we do pertaining to our age. If he was somebody that was very matured, I'm not sure he would have been cleaning the gun in front of the lady. And then the lady too.
Because probably they have been trained on how to handle those guns.
I'm not
how to handle their working equipment.
I'm not disputing that fact. They have been trained how to handle the equipment, yes. But maturity also counts. Because there are times that, from what you just said, the lady had an idea of what certain things is doing. But if it was somebody that was matured, right, there are other measures that you could use towards the girlfriend. You would have not cleaned the gun. To me, that it's not, it didn't happen accidentally. Right. Because if you have been trained for, you will not do that in front of
somebody.
Yeah. To me, it's not accidentally. Age matters in relationships.
So you now, as a girl, you now as a woman in our society, what could you advise young girls in the face of this situation?
My young girls, so really, I usually hear people saying girls are more than men. Yeah, that's true. And with the crisis issue, that really girls are we really have girls. But the point I want to make is this: we don't just rush into a relationship. We don't just rush into a relationship, and money should not make us enter into a relationship without knowing somebody. I know at times you are in a relationship, the person will not exhibit all, you might not know all his attitude, but the few time you've spent with the person, at least you will know certain of his attitude. You have an idea, a clue of his attitude. There are some that you know how to manage or bear with him, because we know none is perfect. None is perfect. So we really need to know the guy or the man in which we want to go into a relationship with.
All right, thank you very much, Ivory. Manga Venashus, what are those lessons that we could draw from this incident?
Vanessa, I liked what she was talking about. Age matter here, and away from society, from social consequences of such an act, or the lesson we could draw from such an act. I look at it from a political point of view. When you get a young man at such a position, the deal was 30 years, and 30 years in charge of a division is a huge task that demands a huge, sense of responsibility, a huge task that demands a huge sense of, control over what you do. If that happened, it means this deal we take his explanation, he could as well taken the gun and is cleaning it in front of people without taking precautionary measures. Yes, because if you are just two of you in the house and somebody is right in front of you, simple reasoning tells you that you take away the gun.
Well, you see a gun, you even panic.
Of course, you take it away from somebody while wiping. You are in the house. A divisional officer is in his house. I think that to normally wipe or take care of his gun, he should disarm it, remove the bullet, and then wipe it normally and load it up and keep. That should have been a normal situation. But then we are taking the explanation he gave us, and that is what we are basing on. But then I look at it away from it, politically speaking. When this young man acted, he's a young man, 30 years. When he acted the way he acted, I tend to see reason why we still have people of this 80s, 90s in power. Because we, the young people, are proving that we are irresponsible.
So are you trying to say the young should be removed from the political scheme of Cameroon?
If they are to react in this manner. When you say a divisional officer killed his girlfriend, it tarnishes the image of the government of Cameroon. It is not only him as the DO, it tarnishes the image of the administrative setup of Cameroon. When a DO kills his girlfriend, it becomes something, it is a scandal. It is a scandal. In a normal country, that young man was supposed to resign before the forces of law and order takes their action. And now we would then tend to swallow this our clamor that we always cry for, that we want the youth, we want the youth to also be involved in the administration of the country. If they give you a division, I think that was a challenge that the president should give a young man of 30 to manage a subdivision. The young man was not yet married. He cannot even control his simple life. How would you run a population in hundreds? So that is a clear fact that we should allow our grandparents, our grandfathers, our grandmothers to remain in position.
Shows, I think that the youth should be given an opportunity so they'll be groomed up by the old ones.
When the youth would have proven that they are responsible.
You cannot use one incident to categorize that all youths are like that.
Vanessa, we're not using one incident that to prove that. We had a similar incident in Boya where a young man killed a girl simply because the girl was bold enough to walk up to him to say that I already have somebody. I want to put an end to this relationship. So if we, in philosophy, we say two points make a straight line. If we can take this other young man, an administrator who could not maintain his emotion, we take another one who could not maintain, we can conclude that the youth, they are unable to manage their, their temperament, they are unable to manage their emotions, and then you take the whole country and give it to their hands.
So give them a position of responsibility.
Then they will sell Cameroon. They will plunge Cameroon into. So I think that we should. While we're laughing, I think that we should be serious here in saying that we, the young people.
Because you say they will sell Cameroon.
Of course, if it comes to killing your girlfriend, then we are going to plunge Cameroon into a war. So I think that we the youth, we need to be responsible. We need to prove that we can. That as we are claiming that we want to, we can. By proving ourselves from little things. Remember the Bible says, if nobody can trust you with what is small, when they give you what is
big.
So I think that is where we should be drawing an example here, that we need to know how to manage situations. When situations come, think of the consequences first before reacting. That's a lesson I think that we can draw from this incident.
That is a lesson we can draw. Just a call for us, the youth, to be responsible in an action so that we will ensure a smooth transition, and why not a better one as far as governing is concerned. Question 2, can fraud and corruption affect the management of COVID-19 in Cameroon? Evelyn, you think that it can affect the management of COVID-19? It is no news again about fraud, about the mismanagement of projects or finances in carrying out particular projects in Cameroon. And so in the management of COVID-19, how will it affect it?
Vanessa, I think fraud can really affect the management of COVID-19 in Cameroon. For example, we see that COVID-19 is really expanding here in Cameroon because we don't have rehabilitation centers. You discover that those that are even affected with the COVID-19, we don't have where they can keep them. Whereas, in a normal sense, the government of Cameroon, I know we are trying our best, but the best is not good enough. Understand? If those are rehabilitation centers are located all over in Cameroon, I believe the rate of the COVID-19 spreading would have really reduced. And you also see that the health personnel, you discover that the health personnel here, they are limited. When you go to the hospital, that's when you discover that they are really limited. And whereas this time like that, they needed to employ more. And those that are, the few that are even there, they're not paying them well. When they're not paying them well, they will not carry out their duty normally. So you see that all these things like that. And then I know the government of Cameroon is really trying. We are really trying, but it's not good enough. For example, the spread of this COVID-19 will continue. Why? The face mask. We say we should be wearing the face mask. Yes, the government has tried, has shared some. Yes.
Has shared to how many Cameroonians?
That's what I cannot answer, because most
so that's why we are asking fraud and corruption in the management of COVID-19.
You discover that most of we don't buy the face masks to give to the, because when you want to ask the citizens,
all the funds received from the International Monetary Fund, contributions from patriotic Cameroonians, and funds from the government itself. Do you feel that they use it well to manage this crisis period?
I don't believe so. I don't feel they use it judiciously. because there are people that they don't still have these face masks. They don't have. And there are areas in Cameroon that we don't have water. We said the first measures to use against COVID-19 is water and so on. There are areas, I'm not lying, there are areas where they go without water for more than 1 week. Then how do we think this pandemic will reduce? It will keep on increasing, because those are basic things that we can easily have access to. And if we don't have access to those things like that, then how do we think the things that we are supposed to buy, Cameroonians will have money to buy? No.
All right. Thank you very much for your viewpoint. Manke Venashus, your take on that corruption and fraud will affect the management of COVID-19 in Cameroon.
Yes, Vanessa, it's just a fact. And you know, at the beginning of this week, there was this information that was circulating on social media and newspapers. Not even on social media. Actually, one SDF MP took to task the Minister of Public Health, asking him the feedback they gave about the management of the COVID-19 Solidarity Special Fund, where they were giving us prices of thermoflash cameras, and people were asking questions whether these ones are being sold to Cameroon government different from what is being sold to other organizations, individuals, and other countries. Cameroonians contributed to this fund, and when you start seeing the management of the fund becoming a problem, you tend to ask questions. It came to a point where the Prime Minister had to come in and order for a prop. That's what one newspaper said at the beginning of this week. That was on Tuesday. And ordered for a prop into the management of that fund, which means something was already abnormal. And when it starts happening like that, Cameroonians who had the goodwill, remember when the head of state launched this special COVID-19 fund, there was an amount of 2 billion francs, but Cameroonians contributed money. Now, when Cameroonians started seeing that the money is not being used for what it was intended, or is not being used as it was supposed to be, you are discouraging them. Nobody will want to contribute again. Besides the idea of them contributing money, there was an organization that gave out 4,000 bags or 4,000 tons of rice to the government. Where has the rice gone to? Where has that right? Where have they shared it? When it comes to sharing the presidential gift,
but the Minister of Public Health clearly said that he handed it to the 10 governors.
To 10 governors, and the 10 governors, where did they? The Minister of Public Health did not go to every subdivision to share the presidential gift. He as well handed it to the regional governors, who handed it to the divisional officers, and they shared it in their various divisions. Which divisional officer shared it without mediatizing? You know what happens here in Cameroon when it comes to issues like that? Okay. Which community has received the rice? How would you encourage Cameroonians again to participate in the management of it? From every indication, they have proven to Cameroonians that COVID-19 does not even exist. It does not even exist, because we cannot talk about a relief aid to people who are facing a pandemic that can kill them, and people embezzle it. People use it anyhow, and you expect to tell them
nobody can stand to testify that they received something or not.
Of course. How many Cameroonians already claim that they received the bags of rice? How many of them have received? When we take money that was meant to save life, and then we fake the amount, buying a thermoflash camera, for example, 10,000 francs, and you come and say you bought it for 30,000 francs, and then you expect Cameroonians just to clap for you? When individuals buy the face mask, the very thermoflash cameras, then why is it that only Cameroon government buys it that expensive?
More expensive.
Is it not a similar case where one bag of cement in Cameroon cost 16,000 francs, whereas the cement that is sold at 4,200 francs, Cameroon government bought it at 16,000 francs for the construction of the stadium? So I think that such acts of corruption and embezzlement, they affect the management of the crisis in Cameroon, and thereby push Cameroonians to think that this pandemic does not actually exist, and that's why other people call it a scam.
Yeah, a scam.
Yes, it is a scam that they want to siphon money. It is a scam that they want to use it and dupe Cameroonians, and that is why when you move along the street, How many people still wear face masks?
Probably Cameroonians are getting wiser every day, so they can now differentiate when they are being like tricked upon, when they are being told the truth, and when they should react to incidents concerning the health or the well-being of Cameroonians. Our third question: is there anything the finance sector in Cameroon is doing to absorb the effect of the coronavirus? Mangaven Ashus, I stay with you. You think that there is something this sector can do? We know that almost all of the sectors, majority, have been affected by the outbreak of this global pandemic.
Actually, Vanessa, you know, with the outbreak of the pandemic, all sectors, like you say, are affected. And the finance sector is not left out. The finance sector has been struggling, you know, to cope with individuals, to see how they can manage. You remember that most of Cameroonians are actually, you know, most companies have laid off their workers. And now to survive, some companies, you know, we got up with another how do they call it, microfinancial institution. They have resorted to giving grants to lend out money to most of their customers at a lower rate to make sure that they help the customers survive, because they know that if they maintain the standard rate in which they give out the loans, they will not be able to survive, especially at this crisis moment. And then they are also they have also encouraging the customers to save, and some of them were actually talking of looking forward to increase the interest rate so as to entice the customers to come in and do some savings in their microfinancial institutions, because they know that if they operate in a normal level at which they used to operate, they may not be able to survive given the constraint. Remember, we are saying that this pandemic has touched every sector, and in fact every individual is feeling the pinch of the pandemic.
All right, and Ivoline, we is at the front line with some of these microfinance. You work at AWOCO, that is the Agricultural Worker Service and Loan Cooperative Credit Union Limited. What are some of those things that your company has done? What are some of those things that you are doing to help the clients as well?
Yes, Vanessa, as you rightly said, this pandemic has really dealt with us. It's not really easy. It's not really easy. Workers, we have really reduced workers, and those that are still maintained, their salaries have been cut. And members, most of them, they do bed withdrawals. They don't deposit money, they don't save money, because it's out of the abundance that you can keep. If you don't have money to buy food to eat, you will not think of saving money. You will never think of saving money. So what we do now, like to encourage our members, is like we give them overdrafts, loans at low interest rates, in order to motivate them now to continue the business.
Like Mangavena should say.
Yes, in order to encourage them to continue the business, because as the pandemic started, like that, there are people that had money that they had nothing to do with, but they just decided to come and withdraw it. Better go and keep it in their house, that if anything wants to happen, they know their money is safe with them back in the house. So what we are doing now is like we are doing intensive recovery from those who borrowed and they are unable to pay because of the pandemic. Most borrowed money and they invested in businesses. They didn't know the outbreak of the COVID-19 would be like this. So we are like intensifying in following them up to be paying not the amount they originally signed that they will be paying, but something. You know that if you have the mind to do something, even if it's little, that mind that you have will see and will encourage you. So those that took loan, we are behind them, that they should be paying even small. Then those that just want to stop the business, we encourage them by giving them small loans. Like these women that are selling in the market, we can give them small loans, and our daily savers, they move around collecting every day in order to use the money end of month to pay their debt. That's just what we are doing. And those staff that are still working, that they have reduced their salaries, we are just there because we also know it has really affected our place. You will not be angry and you want to leave the job. You will not live because you know what is on ground.
On the ground.
Yes, you know what is on the ground. So we just need to manage with what we have and see how to bring back our members, and praying that the COVID-19, we should really have a solution.
Anyway, but then it's a good news to agriculturalists, because they will have the opportunity to come and lend some money in order to increase their produce. Thank you very much, Ivory, for coming. Your second name, We Shansu. What is the meaning of that?
We Sanyoy.
We Sanyue.
God will judge.
God will judge. Anyway, a beautiful name. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And Mangavenashus, it's a pleasure having you again.
It was.
Wishing you all a happy weekend and a happy new month.
Same to you, Vanessa.
Vanessa, was equally, let me use this opportunity to wish our brothers and sisters who are celebrating the feast of sacrifice today, you know. Today they still continue to celebrate, and I think it's a feast that they celebrate practically, I think, a week.
All right.
So I think we'll join them.
You have stolen it from me. So we join you together and wish them a happy feast, especially to our colleagues.
To our colleagues,
especially
actually,
to our colleagues. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all televiewers. We hope that you have or you enjoy your weekend, and we are wishing you all a happy new month. On Monday, we will be right back, God willing. So stay blessed and take care. Bye bye.